All trading videos by OFA are for educational purposes only to illustrate sample use cases of the software functionality. OFA is not a trading system or strategy being marketed on a performance track record of live or hypothetical results. Trading involves substantial risk. Please do not purchase or subscribe to OFA services without carefully reading the complete required disclaimers and terms and conditions located on the OFA website. Good morning. It is the 30th of September, Friday, about 5 minutes till the top of the hour, and we're coming off of a fantastic week. Really had some just phenomenal trading. And looking at the crude, this is November crude, and yesterday another good, big, strong move up. And you can see what we've traded into, right? So let's get the crosshair up, make it a little bit easier. And you can see going back to the 8th, the high at the 8th is what we tapped yesterday. So significant high there. And then the next one up goes back to the 26th of August, right? So we've got right around 49 even would be the next stop up in terms of key prices. So we want to go and look at yesterday's high, see when that came in. We're obviously trading off of some lows that came in more or less from the close at 47 of the 28th, right? So we have the big move up on the 28th. Then yesterday we trade lower, then move all the way up and end up closing higher. Today we open, move back down to 47 where we closed the prior day. So we want to check out the lows, and obviously we want to check out yesterday's highs, and it looks from the chart that we're trading on today's highs right now. I have not looked at an intraday chart yet. So just trying to get a little bit of perspective. We've been moving up higher. We probably have a big volume weighted average price to retest. Just looking at how much of a directional range we've had. So we'll certainly take a look at that. So let's get over and look at the intraday chart and get a little look here. You can see yesterday's trades still on the chart here, and they're out of sync. So I think this is an NT8 thing. For some reason, whenever we load up a chart with the prior day's stuff on it, it's they're all jumbled up. So anyway, you can see yesterday's high, and so that came in middle of the morning. So let's get a bead on the high and see where we've got two different distributions. Okay, so every time this happens, we want to make sure that we dig into it a little bit, because it can be very misleading, right? If we have a nice normal distribution, it's very easy for us to just pick out the key point. But when we have multiple distributions like this, that's generally when we look for a different sort of animal. So I'm going to bring over okay, and so you can see we shift by including a little bit more volume in that. We shift things over. I'm going to include a little bit more as well and just see if anything changes. And so we're getting more of a normal distribution off the high. I'm going to put a line here, and just like we generally do, I'm going to make this a red line, because I want to note that this is not, the high is a little bit tricky, and it's not just a clear-cut normal distribution. There's obviously a lot of volume down below, but that doesn't really reference the high. It took an awful lot to get this to roll over. So I want to make this red because I need to be aware that this is a good target area, but it'll be very difficult to trade off of it because there is volume higher than what's on here. So just a quick reference, by changing the color to something red, I know that that's not a good place for me to just lay out a limit order. Okay, so then let's get into, we have a marker for a high. Let's get into where we've traded so far today. So here's yesterday's close. We opened back up, trade into those prior highs. It looks like we had a little breakout of that here. And we have a double bottom low. This came in at the London session, and we've retested. So let's get a low marker on here. And you can see we came basically right back into it. So I want to get a line down here in case we, for some reason, head south. And then look at the move up, right? So we trade back up into these highs, and I would venture to say if we mark this, we're going to get a distribution that in a point of control that meets these highs. So we come off of that, we trade back down, and then we transition through it here, and then here's the retest into that. So if we were to grab the volume from here, we ought to see, see how we come back down. So when we have breakouts like this of a range, generally speaking, it's not the same as trading into the lows or the highs where we have a move back into the point of control. Generally, we're only going to graze the value area. So think of it in terms of a value area breakout and then retesting the edge of value. So this is a good example of why you would want to look for the edge of value if you're buying a breakout rather than it coming all the way back into the point of control. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is get a profile up. Let's go from low to the high and check that first and see where we are. So here is the volume weighted average price down at this low, the point of control. You can see where the CWAP is, and the CWAP obviously held here as well. So if we had been trading at 6:45 this morning, what would we have seen for the CWAP move? It would have come in and then lifted right back up. I don't know that this would have been tradable. I'm trying to think of any reason why. I mean, we could look at the low transitions, but I think that would have been a hard call to make. So other than the fact that it just happened to hit it perfect, I don't think that that necessarily would have been tradable, at least not for me. So we're at 48. We're at the highs, and up above we have yesterday's highs up at 48.25, right? So the big question is, what are we going to do? And to me, I love the idea of coming back down to the edge of this distribution. You can see there's multiple distributions today, and that's what happens when we have a trend. And obviously breaking the range increases the value of that substantially. The other thing that we can do is jump this forward to this low and see, and look at that. We've been on the CWAP the whole time and looking like we're going to advance. So we're either going to have a nice mean reversion, in which case we'll come back down to the point of control, and I bet, if let's just say, for example, we go up another 25 ticks before we come down, the volume weighted average price would probably move up as well. This is the breakout of the, look, we're ripping away. So we're almost up at those highs. So we know that if we clear those highs, the next stop up would be 49. So it could be a very large scenario. So anyway, another breakaway here. Let's get on the shorter one as well and see, maybe we have the CWAP lift up a little bit into this last little breakout out of the top, and we can certainly look into that as well. So looks like the potential for a busy day, because we already have quite a bit of action going on. 100 ticks if you look at the move right now, 47.10, 48.10. It makes sense that this might come back a little bit. 100 tick move, pretty impressive. Certainly wish I had been at this earlier, but I don't know what I would have been able to buy. This would have been a stretch. I know how I am. I probably would have been a tick off on buying that. So anyway, coulda, shoulda, woulda. Let's dig into it. Okay, so we have this little transition up, trying to maintain this trend line. We have the CWAP right here at 93, volume weighted average price behind that, point of control just behind that. And this is just from that little 7 a.m. swing. So obviously, if we roll and trade through this, we have a deeper volume weighted average price from the whole range. So we'll just look and see if we can get this to hold up front right at the beginning of the session, and if not, we'll dig into the larger VWAP and see if we can get a mean reversion. I'm expecting that we're going to trade a little bit higher before we get to that mean reversion point, just simply because we do have those highs from a couple of days ago. Okay, hit but no fill. There we go. There's the fill. Okay, we want to get behind I'm going to come out a couple of ticks here to get behind not only the volume weighted average price, but even though the point of control just shifted, we have this was the prior point of control, so there's substantial volume there, and you can tell it's from this advance. And so we'll see if this will hold. And then obviously we want to get our stop. We want to make some adjustments on our stop. And if you see, there's the 25 target up there. So we're going to bring this one out a little bit so that we can get our first one out right up into the edge. And again, point of control moving around here. So we've got a few prices that have substantial volume, and now we're just at a point where we want to make sure that we stay up above that point of control. All right, lifting off of this. So at least I'm not just straight getting stopped here, but I do need to make some adjustments here so that we get a decent risk to reward ratio. So we have a 9-tick potential stop out, right? If this doesn't work out, 9 ticks. So that means we want to be at least 18 out, right? And so from 93, that would put us at 1311, right? So that puts us right up here, and then we obviously have a bunch of targets that end up very close together, right? So with that, what we want to do is we know this level up here is that prior high. We know there's a couple of distributions. We can get outside of this with 1, and then from 11, let's get inside this high. So from 11, another 9 out would be 20. That would give us a 3-to-1 somewhere inside that high. Now, we could technically go a little bit tighter than that, but if you remember, the reason we used that red line was because the distributions of volume were split up pretty heavily. So we'll see what it looks like if we start advancing, I should say, and then we'll worry about the 35. As you know, above the 48.25, we really don't have any highs for a long way. So we'll probably use the same strategy with the standard deviation if we get up there. And at this point, that's a big if. Okay, we are lifting. Let's see if we can get through. And I always like to get a transition profile on because it tells me what I'm up against. You can see 2 distributions of volume. This is the main price here at 48.06. So, okay, well, there's 48.06. There's our first target. Nothing wrong with that. Let's get another profile going on here so we can manage. And we'll get up here on the edge. And we're very close. I want to stay behind the point of control. We're very close to that 20. And again, the 20 is just 3-to-1, but we know that it's up in that neighborhood of where where the prior high is. So we're a couple of ticks off of it. There's nothing special about 20 other than it's right in that neighborhood. So hopefully we can continue to advance. And the stop management here, this is what we just transitioned through, but you can see that there's no volume. Okay, there we go. We pick up the 20. Oh, top tick too. That's fantastic. And so that means that our additional, we'll just kind of keep creeping up here. Really, there's not a good place to put the stop. That's the unfortunate thing. But the upside is that we've gotten 3-to-1. We have, so I'm just going to hang on the third standard deviation here and hope that we continue to advance. This is going to be a tricky area. This is the high. Remember, we drew that line red for a reason because we knew that there was a tricky high here that we would have to work with. I hate bringing my stop up above the last cluster of volume, even though this looks really, really thin compared to what was there before. The tough part about it is that you really don't want to give much back when we're up against a high. So because it's a single contract and we have the opportunity to potentially break the range, I'm willing to kind of let this go. What I'm going to do on another chart while this trade's working is I want to just look at the whole range. If I can, I want to look at the whole range and see what the standard deviations look like there as well. Remember, if we start pounding off of this high, we could have a big mean reversion coming. So we really want to get this through here. And I'm just going to keep moving my target out because I really don't have a target. All right, I don't know that my stop can come up really much more than this. We've got to have that kind of barrier of this last transition, and it didn't really come in at a level that makes a lot of sense, right? This is the buyer buying through, and then we just went loose, and that was buying through this last high. If we can get up a little bit more, we can use this distribution as stop guidance. In the meantime, I need to get another profile up on another chart. So chart's loaded. Let's just take a look. All right, so we're at the second standard deviation. 48.50 would be the third on the entire move. So if we can break the high, can we get up to the 50? And that'll justify some of the risks that we're taking here. So from 20 off, we shouldn't trade really back through this. And we're still inside that high, aren't we? Yep. And boy, I mean, we got the top tick here. I'm going to take a look at that. How much traded there? Well, that's why. 155 against 2. So we cleared the best offer, which is how we were able to get filled at the top. You got to love it. And I'm always the first one to recognize and admit when something happens because of luck rather than skill. So picking the 20 was nothing but luck and having a 2-to-1 on the initial 9-tick stop. There was nothing special about 20. It was just inside that red line, and it matched up with a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 risk to reward. So I just want to be clear. There wasn't some mad skill involved in getting the top tick there. It was just an area that we assumed was going to be difficult to trade through. Stop up at 48.01, and let's see if we can get another advance without diving in. Yeah. All right. Sellers pushing on this. See if the buyers can turn anything back. We've got a nice clean distribution here. The edge of it is right at this prior transition. It doesn't make a lot of sense for me to risk more than I need to. It's all going to come down to a tick or two. So let's see if they can drop this back up from there. Nah, I don't see any buy activity. Yep, buyers come in. Zoom in on this a little bit. All right, this is what we want to see. We want to see a selling effort get held up by the buyers, and we want those sellers to get upside down. So if we can lift up a few more prices, these sellers will probably start unwinding, and we might get some more momentum to the top side. And that would be very helpful for stop guidance on this because obviously much more volume up above than down below. So getting back up on the upper side of that distribution will be extremely helpful in giving us some sort of logical place to put a stop. I'm kind of guessing at this point. I see the prior transition here, but when we blew through it, there wasn't a lot of volume. So it's kind of I'm guessing more than anything else. I'm making an educated guess of where to put my stop, but certainly doesn't say that the trade's over from there. We have about a little less than 7 minutes until the equity open. So another advance before that happens would be great to give us a little breathing room. I'm going to put another profile here to see what that looks like. We're on it here. Ooh. Okay, so by a tick there. See if the buyers can turn. I don't like to move my stop backwards. Obviously, nobody does. I get the sense that based on this transition, it would make a lot of sense to have my stop back around 96. That's given up about $60 in profit. Well, let's just see if the buyers come through, and then we don't have to worry about it. Let's take a look at the current transition. Always want to know how good of a job we're doing. We see what we have to trade through. The 48.12 is key. Lift up. Trade through it, guys. Okay, 13 trading 14. Rotation, let's see if they can continue to advance. Not a very clean transition. We didn't trade all the way through. Okay, just tapping the upper edge. Oh, there we go. We got to get a jump. We still have 4 minutes till the equity open, so that's traffic on a whole different level. Look where we traded up to, right up to that 26 where we have that red line. What can we do here to improve? Gosh, look, coming back down hard. Let's see if it'll lift again. I want to improve my stop. I just don't know where to at this point. Obviously, these small VWAPs aren't meaning much, but here is the point of control. At least come up a little bit off this low, I think. Okay, so if we can break through this, we're looking for this to trade up to about 50. And that is a larger 3 standard deviation move up to 50. And it's not on this chart, it's the whole range, third standard deviation. But we're at 1, let's see here. We're at 1, this is 2. I have a feeling we're going to hold this high. Well, let's see if we can hang in there. We've got a little less than 2 minutes. Equity open. All right, less than a minute. Looking for another lucky bounce here. So far, we've been packed full of luck today. Got a top tick fill here and missed our stop by 1 tick here, and neither one of those were strategically planned. So I'll take the luck and maybe go buy a lottery ticket today. Little rotation. All right, the equity session is open. We're looking for buyers to come in and extend this advance, hopefully without a down tick. Now we bought off of the CWAP, and the CWAP has been holding very nicely, so it's a little bit disturbing to think that we're just going to get a couple of ticks in front of it. I'd love to see a decent transition here so I can move my stop up and not be so overly concerned with what it's falling on. Let's see if this does better than a double top. We need some buying right out of the gate this morning. Don't want to see a double top here. All right, I'm going to bring this up. And let's see if we can advance through this without dropping back down. And I'm still just playing this whole distribution here. We've got an awful lot of volume up at the top, though. Okay, back down into the point of control. Obviously, I'm playing the stop tight because we could very easily have a double top here at the prior high. I mean, this is all kind of what you would expect. So the question is, can this stay propped up and break through without having a big pullback into this? And if it starts to pull back, you almost have to think that there's the likelihood of a big mean reversion is there. So on the other chart, I'm going to look at what the mean from the low would be. That would be a move all the way back into 80, right? So that would be down to this transition here around 730. So we're going to hope for the best that we can buy through this. And if we can stay above 10, we're on it. Come on, buyers, pull it back out. Hopefully we haven't used up all our luck. Picked up. But you know what? Who gives a crap? $1,280, and it is 3 minutes after 8:30. So I think that's a perfect way to end a hell of a trading week. And I really can't ask for anything more. We had plenty of good luck there. And you know, after yesterday's trading and then Wednesday's trading in the ES, I don't even care. I mean, to me, this has just been phenomenal. So the big question is here, if we drag the profile back down to the low here, one too many there. We have a mean at about 80, and it should come back into this little transition here. Or if it gets propped up here, we can understand why that might be as well, because we're right on this prior transition. But it doesn't matter to me, because I am done for the day. I'm done for the week. Hell of a trading week. I hope everybody had a great trading week, and hope you guys learned something from the videos this week. I haven't been doing a bunch of videos because of all of the current integrations with alphas going to betas and all that good stuff. But this week, I managed to get 3 really good lessons in the video section. So looking forward to it. See you next week.